So, if you haven't seen this before, this is a interview from Lego 2 Build. He used to stream Spiral Nights. I don't know if he really streams Spiral Nights anymore. I think he does like once off streams sometimes, very rarely. This is from 2020 with Grey Havens, and they did a full 1 hour and 30-minute interview during one of Lego 2 Build's Cyber Monday streams. So we're gonna give it a watch, give it a review, see what we think. Chat, feel free to chat along. Give me things to bounce off of, and we'll stop when things get interesting, and I'm sure we'll have things to react to. Let's get to it. And tell me if the audio levels need to be changed at all. So this interview is really current and contemporary. Yes, well, it's kind of the only interview that exists with Grey Haven, so it's always going to be relevant. You know?
So me and Fandro here with a couple folks from Grey Havens. If you guys wouldn't mind, perhaps a quick introduction to yourself and maybe some of your background with the company.
Hello, I'm Hera, and
I'll do the title.
I have worked for
Hera,
Grey
shut up.
Havens since it began, and before that, I was with Three Rings.
Three Rings, OG.
Hestia. Really, actually the best.
Yikes.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm the general manager. Office lackey type. I started as
Hey!
OM on.
Wait! I just knocked my old mic setup. Hang on. Yeah, taking notes. Who was this, by the way? I missed the name.
Yeah, home who doesn't know.
Hera.
OM stands for Ocean Master. Is that correct?
Yes, that's.
Yeah.
We all started with Puzzle Pirates first. I mean,
Yeah.
Puzzle Pirates is how old is it?
It's old.
How old's that peg?
They've been around for a while. Man.
Yeah,
Might be older than some people watching this.
it is 17 now.
Holy shit.
17?
If I remember right.
17, that was
That's
2020. We're in 2025, so Puzzle Pirates would be around for 22 years. I don't know if people have played it. I've given it a try, like a very 2-minute try, and it was kind of what you expect for a 22-year-old game.
Launched for the last 15 years, I believed, but as far as testing, 17.
The manager graduated from college you go to, damn.
Pretty old.
I'm gonna move the chat a little bit more this way.
I am Nemesis. I am not the best, but I am the meanest, and that's all that matters. And I also started
The meanest.
off as a pirate.
Okay, Nemesis. All right, no chill, Nemesis.
So, talking about Spiral Knights a little bit, what is, if you had to pick one thing, your favorite and least favorite level of Spiral Knights? And if one of you
This was sad. There's a lot of comments about this in the
wants
comment
to
section.
answer, that's fine. We can kind of jump the questions around.
My least favorite is anything that requires timing. I am not somebody who likes
So like
puzzle
half the game.
platformers either, so running away from spiked things annoys me.
So the new treasure vault.
Can't stand it.
The Romulus twins. Not up there either.
Loathe and despise them.
Just name the whole game.
All right.
I don't have a least favourite.
There we go. Good answer. Good answer.
Lots and lots of fire that I can drag certain players into.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that always makes my day.
Oh yeah, it does. It does.
Sorry, wait. Did she say she likes to drag people into fire? She's the real manager
My
this whole time.
favorite doesn't exist. It was one back in the day where you could go through the little kind of pay energy gate and fight the green, what was he, Jolly Green Giant?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Jolly Green
Next
Giant.
down over here.
What?
Well, I think I already know the answer to Nemesis here, but what is
Friends
your
rights,
favorite
shout
or
out.
least favorite box?
Oh my god, what the fuck, Lego? What are you doing? Why are you just randomly pulling up a game that's like as loud as the interview?
I think we all agree that we don't like twins.
See, I don't mind any of them because I just
Okay, we're sorted.
put on the god powers and run through and watch everybody die.
You can't, right. She's,
You can't put in the god
Really,
powers.
any level is my favorite level as long as everybody else is dying.
God Powers is just putting on Black Cat.
But twins, you can't put on your god powers because you
Prove me
just
wrong.
can't one-hit them. They're a pain.
I like Vanadu
I
a
love the
lot
titles.
because I get to go see and talk to players more often in his area.
I think this is Hera talking. I think she's like one of the only ones that has actually stuck around, I think,
Only
from
'cause it gets
this
stuck.
interview. I
Yeah.
don't know if Nemesis is still around. I haven't seen the
enjoy
name in
stuck
ages.
Players way too much. I really do.
Is this like a common thing across?
Remember the first time you whacked one with a charged band hammer? I didn't know.
It was like the best.
Why are they just
Yeah.
trying to hurt the
The first time you
The
do it, it's
players.
like, oh, I didn't expect that, but I liked it.
Oh, so Nemesis is still around.
a capsule.
I was
Okay,
like,
I didn't know
I'm
that.
gonna be mad. I was just waiting for the, I'm gonna tell your boss.
Go ahead, my boss will laugh.
Boss will do it too, apparently.
It's the boss Cronus. I'm pretty sure Cronus
This
is
is
the
true, I do it.
manager.
My favorite, if I was to be serious, is
I could be
I
wrong.
love
I don't
slimes.
actually know.
Oh, I still wish.
so she was
What
my
is
favorite.
the
No,
what
Nixed
is
is.
the
Nemesis, okay.
dark, the scary one? I really like that one. I can't think of the name right.
I don't know if that's true though, because if you send a request for like finance or anything like that, as in like to increase your payment in the game, it's usually it goes to Cronus. I think he's like the maybe he just manages that side of things, so maybe he's not the actual manager. I don't know. I always thought it was him. Rip Stream? No, the stream's still good.
Yeah.
It's called
Oh,
Nemesis.
Snarplex?
You shut up.
The Snarplex, the little shadow wolf.
Snarby.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
Yeah, the one.
They didn't even. Are you kidding me?
Called
Oh,
Nemesis.
Snarplex?
Let's turn this up.
You shut up. The scary one. I really like that one. I can't think of the name right now.
Okay.
It's called
Oh,
Nemesis.
Snarplex?
I forgot the name of Snarplex. This is so sad.
The Snarplex, the little shadow wolf.
Hey, we all
Yeah,
forget the names of things,
the
okay?
ones where
I'm
it
guilty
shoots
of
the
this as
things
well.
from
It
the
could just be in the
ground.
moment.
Very technical.
All right. All right. So
I like Ice Queen.
is it called like your
Ice
heart?
Queen is a shout out. I don't know who that is talking. I think that is Hera, but I'm liking Hera's answers the most so far. Because she's like actually sounds like she knows the game. Like calling out Ice Queen.
Well, that's also why you need to pull Lego to the fire, Gotta warm him up a bit. All right. Next down, what is your favorite soundtrack from Spiral Knights?
Mine's Trouble Calling. Trouble Calling. Because I have it on
Trouble Calling's
autoplay every time a ticket comes in. And then I just like,
I
oh no, I've got to
actually have the main theme on my Spotify list, like as a regular rotating
Shout out.
thing.
I'm a rebel. I don't listen to the game music, and it's all turned off.
Okay, I would flame her for saying that, but I actually do the same. Like when I play the game, I just have it off because I'm usually watching something else while playing.
And we realized that I think per every stream we get like some tenth of a cent or something ridiculous, and so we were all like, let's just stream it
Four
24/7.
computers streaming that.
I made 27 cents that week.
They're gaming the
Was it
system.
a week or a month? I know I was
Yeah.
like a lot, and it was like, oh, we made 5 New Zealand cents. It's like, hey.
That you could see the spike in like location data, and all of a sudden New Zealand was like, or New Zealand, Australia, Africa, and
Shout out.
and one other country. I think it was Thailand. Everything in the east spiked, and we couldn't figure out why. And apparently, the company that runs it was filtering traffic through their Asian servers. But I was like, why all of a sudden is everyone in Hong Kong jamming to to the main theme?
I mean, the main theme's a
Just throw it over
banger.
an aux cord.
Yeah, but it was only within that realm, right? Of I don't know. It was funny.
All right.
All right, so now that I'm caught up, so from the
Give us the next
GM
question.
team, how would you guys say the atmosphere changed for you guys when kind of Three Rings transitioned into
Ruh-roh.
Grey Havens, and when you guys were integrating with that team? I know it was a lot of the same people, but what were some of the biggest changes for you guys?
Well, I was primarily with Puzzle Pirates, so I can't really answer from the GM perspective of what it was like before. But I'm assuming that it improved greatly because I became part of the team.
Jesus, Pete. So the short answer and the real answer is there wasn't a great deal of change. I mean, the core team has always been the core team, and our policies across the game, the different games, have always been very similar. I guess there was a learning curve on relearning the game because for some of us it had been quite a while, if ever, since we first played Spiral Knights or last played Spiral Knights.
Yeah, we were part of testing, but we weren't sort of actively part of support.
I see.
This is one of the things that gets talked a lot about with the moderators in the game is like, I don't know if they actually, because it's literally their job, and I don't know how much they actually like the game necessarily. And it sounds like they just got dragged into it from other games, like, you know, doing Puzzle Pirates when Grey Havens took over, then it just kind of carried over, which is a bit of a shame, but I mean, it is a job at the end of the day. I think anyone
Some
you
of the
put in
other
there would kind of
GMs were
get
already
similar.
part of support, but we had to combine, and which was weird because most of us had never done multiple games at the same time. So somebody on a shift might be, and this is not true of the developers, but support will work multiple games at the same time, and so that was a learning curve. You had to like switch your brain.
Yeah, I had worked on Spiral Knights back
Shout
at
out.
the start of it, and then I was moved off for World, and then where, I don't know, Doctor Who or something, along with Puzzle Pirates, but it had been long enough that it was so new to me when I started again.
I mean, on the picture as a whole, you can kind of imagine it. It's not hard, right? Like moving from Sega on the management side, it's just a lot different to be in a AAA company than a company that's tiny.
Hello, Bibab.
And you depend on each other
Welcome,
for
welcome.
everything. There's nobody to go to. Just us.
It's so much cleaner, though.
Oh, yeah. There's so much less red tape.
Right. So I guess we'll jump down to the next one. That was very nice to know.
Dude, the whole interview, it just feels like so slow. I don't know, is it just me? It is like, it's interesting to hear their responses at the same time, but it doesn't have that like punchiness of like, all right, let's, you know, make the
What
most
is
of the time.
number one support ticket that you guys reply to?
Here we go.
That we reply to or that we get?
Well, like you get and reply to, preferably.
Our number one ticket that we get is they're being mean to me.
Sad but true.
Mom.
Yeah, and
Real.
It's usually something like, you're a jerk, go away. And I'm like, my kids would be embarrassed to come to me with a complaint like that. Why does everybody feel like they can't be, you know, it's a game.
My favorite
Yeah.
question.
They're not here to help you win, buddy.
If it's a question, it's either people might be stuck or something like that, or they made a mistake, but it's usually something like that, or it's language, or he's mean to me, or why is this one standing next to me? That's a big one. I don't know what it is about somebody standing next to you that is so...
Okay, but that's a real problem, man. You're standing in Haven and then someone fucking stands right on top of your body and they just stand there and you're like, what the hell, man? This is my personal space. Get the fuck out of here. Come on, man.
People sometimes get really upset about, like, you're standing inside of me.
These guys
And
don't
for
get
a
it.
while, I was like, and then I was like, I don't care.
Lego doesn't
Yeah,
get
I
it,
mean,
man.
if
He's
you
not a
want
real
to
player.
get a better perspective on it, the overall number of actual inquiries we get are very, very small. Complaints, we get quite a few, but they're usually
Assimilation.
kind of bogus.
Mhm.
But people actually asking us a question through a support ticket is very limited, and usually only if they're running into a problem. So it's not to say that there's tons and tons of problems with people being stuck, just that when they do contact us, it's because they are.
Step bro, I'm stuck.
Yeah,
Step
and
9.
I'm battle sprites unequipping. There's something that I run into a lot with people. Like,
Oh.
suddenly can't find their battle sprites
Because they
after
restarted the mission, yeah.
mission.
That makes sense.
That was my number one.
Their battle sprite?
I've had friends do that too, and I've been like, "It's still in your inventory, right?" Like, "Oh, right." Sometimes
Yeah, every time we get that question, I have to stop and think. Now, I know there's a reason for why this isn't a big deal because it seems like such a weird, random question, but let me think again.
Delta, I think it's just you. No one else is
Huh?
saying that it's freezing.
Alright. Next on down.
Might just be your
how
internet.
many people are currently associated with Grey Havens?
Good question.
Are there like we have like two little parts of this. First part is like how many are full time versus contracted or part time?
I wish we could know that for like now. I'd be so curious what the team looks like these days.
If it's something we can talk about. And then I'll get this part two after I guess we go over that.
Because it feels like there's like two people.
Depends at the time that you ask, but we run anywhere from 15-ish to 20-ish, something like that.
15 to 20 people?
And then the second
Or is
part
that
is
ours?
does Grey Havens have a sole ownership or a joint ownership?
We own Spiral Knights and Puzzle Pirates and and some other IPs outright. Basically, all of the Three Ring stuff.
Okay. Ugh. All right, here's a fun one. Like in the most recent update, we added. Well, I can't say we. At least the players get to experience changes to lockdown, such as like the big camera zoom out.
That was
Do you have
2020?
any like thoughts on that? or-
Fuck. So long ago.
On the camera zoom out in lockdown.
Yeah.
It was 2019, technically.
It was something that was possible anyway, just from people expanding their window, essentially. And so it was one of these things where, well, if Bob and Jim can do this at any time because they have a giant monitor, there's really no reason to be locked or to not allow others to do it.
Okay.
So it was leveling the playing field a bit.
That's actually
I would never
exciting.
zoom out and zoom in the game.
All right. There's also
Don't look at me.
experience when we had our little Guardian meta session a while back. It was something where it's really hard to fight like that, so it's kind of nice to know it's for overall vision.
Yeah, I think you're right, Delta. It was a cheat mod, so people were doing that in PvP, and there was no way to like balance it out. So I think they just had to find a way to make it a bit more fair. Otherwise, they risked killing off the game. I've noticed. I feel like they really tend to work on the game when things become a problem. Like for example, the recent scene hopping incident. They only patched it out of the game because it finally got big enough where people were really abusing it and genuinely inviting random people into lobbies where they were scene hopped to get them banned. And then they were like, okay, well now it's like unavoidable. We have to deal with it, which is a bit of a sad approach to having updates. But I mean, if we have to break the game to get Grey Havens to do something about it, I guess we should just start breaking the game.
Well, the
I don't
thought
endorse
would
that
be,
message.
where
I
am
said
gonna
it.
go?
I don't
Pull
endorse
back,
it.
over there, pull back in.
Once again,
Yeah.
don't look at me.
High level
It's pretty much how it works in practice. So, all right.
No, Delta, I did
Next
not
up,
teach you how to scene hop.
How do player inventories work? Little sub parts of that is like if a user gets hacked, what would like the process look for like a recovery? Like if an item's traded away.
Right. Well, I mean, if somebody emails in and says that they can't access their account,
Rest in
then we
peace.
will go through a recovery process, and we will review what's happened, and we will attempt to recover items. But we can't promise that we can actually recover items. Yeah, account security is in your hands. You should have a strong password for your account, and if you have a strong password for your account is going to be pretty secure. If you've got a password like password 1234 or
Hold on, I'm gonna
night,
change mine real quick.
right? I'm changing it right now, Lego. We expect that you keep your accounts as safe as possible by not sharing your password with any other player and by having a reasonably strong password. So that's the first part of
Always stay
being
safe.
hacked
passwords.
as such. You know, that's how people are going to get onto your
Stop
account, is if you're not being careful with your account details. And then if it is
Oh god, look how laggy it is.
compromised, we will make every effort
Jesus.
of recovering
The
items
roses.
stolen, but we will not promise to do so. You know, sometimes we just simply can't. Like, for instance, if your account has been stolen like years ago and you get in contact with us now, there's not going to be a heck of a lot we can do to assist
60
you
seconds
with
per
recovering
frame.
items removed, because it's simply too long ago. Each recovery, in my opinion, is a sort of like an individual process, and there are certain circumstances for each one that we take into account and look into.
You know what's really bad about this system that they've got? Because, like, I'm pretty sure the way that it works, like, from what they're saying, it sounds like they have to essentially recreate the items. So the more, like, you've played the game, the more that you've acquired items, the harder it gets for them to recover that sort of stuff. So the people with the big accounts, if they ever lose it, it's a lot harder for them to get it back, just because there's just too much. It's a pretty bad
and that
recovery
doesn't mean, though,
system.
like, recovery is different from banning somebody. Like, we can effectively ban somebody, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to get all of your things back.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, there's also a matter of, you know, are we going to spend 8 hours recovering somebody's light shards? Probably not.
Oh, Lego. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
hear
come
that.
I know that cuts deep, Lego.
That hurts. That really hurts.
Okay.
If Chris' account
I guess-
dies somehow.
One last thing is, like, what information is the most useful for us to provide in cases where we get hacked? Like, what would be the things that would make it easiest to be like, oh, this is information that will cut off a couple hours of investigation, if there are any.
I feel like there's like not much in Spiral Knights.
I mean, if you're
Night
emailing
name?
in, give us your night name.
Please include that.
Sorry, what was that? Include what?
Night
Your
name.
main night name.
Your main night. People's mail in without their main night name.
Yep,
Got it.
all the time.
Almost 80% of the time. 80% of the time, at least.
Got it.
I will say I've worked in customer service roles before, and this is true in like any customer service role. You just get emails, people yapping about their problem, no details to like search them up or anything like that. And it's just like, okay, well, now I have to email you back.
If you send that in, we can start looking immediately. If you don't, we're
Yeah.
going to email you back, and it might be another 12 hours before
It's a classic.
the process gets underway. And anything
Yeah,
over
yeah.
That's just like common sense, though.
value
Like,
what we need.
It's the simple things.
And
should think about that.
right, and it's doing it as fast as you can. Instead of like wandering around to your friends saying, "Oh, have you seen my account?" Just email us, because that's now 6 hours you spent doing that instead of
Going up to your friend, have you seen my account? Where's my account?
of telling us so that we could look, maybe ban the person, stop the spread of your items around the world.
What are they talking about?
But we also, just to say, we also do make people verify their ownership. So if you are hacked, so to speak, we're going to make you
My
prove it.
account
So
ran
some of the
away.
things you can include are how you paid for the game. If that's on Steam, you would put like your confirmation number. If it's by PayPal, you'd include that. It just saves us another step to prove who you are.
There's no like multi-factor authentication with Spiral Knights. So the most reliable way is if you've spent money in the game, then at least they can track you by your like credit card details that you spent money on, and then that way they can actually verify you. Otherwise, it's like email and password, which is really not that safe. Usually, if people have those
That way I
details, they
can't
have those
email
details
in
already.
about
You know, like
Lego
they can pretend to be you.
and call him compromised to try to get him.
Hello, Strafe.
Yeah, we also ban the account that's compromised to stop any spread of items. So you can't get him banned by just complaining, or steal his account by pretending to be him.
Rest in peace. This is how everyone's accounts gets banned, man.
Yeah, we do check.
Hello,
before
Vog.
we take action.
Yeah.
We don't get random
Do you though? Sorry.
complaints in and then go, oh,
The
okay,
recent Black
we
Cat
can ban.
events.
We do look
Guys,
into
it's
it.
showing
before
that
we
it's
take
pretty loud
action.
on my end, so you should be able to hear it.
All right.
Try to turn up your volume.
Lego's yelling in his
I guess we
chat.
can
I would never do that to you
hop on to
guys.
the
I
next
never
one.
yell at chat.
That was insightful.
Right, chat?
All right, everybody, if you get banned, make sure to write down who you are. Saying I
Shut
got
up and play
banned,
games.
and then no information ain't gonna get you unbanned or anything like that.
What are we watching? This is
All right,
interview with Grey Havens, Cyber Monday 2020. It's the only interview that exists with Grey Havens, as far as I'm aware. That is like an actual interview, like recorded, not text.
What is Greyhaven's perspective on the current player community, or your thoughts on like the current player community?
Well, I personally am very
Good question.
grateful that you all are so invested and interested in the game after so many years.
So invested.
It makes it a pleasure to work the game and put up events occasionally.
I feel like
Rest in
we've
peace, Cyber
gotten
Monday.
pretty lucky because we all play other games, and I would not say that in other games the community is as welcoming to new players or frankly is civil. Like the outright civility that is in both games, and we pretend that we had something to do with it, but it's something else. It's something about who our players are and
Shout out Spawn
and
Notes.
how they react. That it just keeps
I think the
this
community's
sort
pretty
of
good.
level of niceness, and it makes people want
Compared to other
actually
games, it's
play,
definitely a lot
as
better.
opposed to some other games where you walk in and you go, nope, nope, nope.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think about Lego?
There's always
All
going to be
right,
extremes,
next question.
Delta, but on the
So-
whole,
So a lot of players have talk about
general play
as you
base is
guys
pretty nice.
Are well aware, it's posted on the forums, and that's kind of where this next question leads to. Is that a lot of players use an extra file to adjust their game's performance and the settings?
I don't even know what he's talking
And,
about.
is that something that is, I guess, like, what is Greyhaven's perspective on?
I would never
Yeah.
do such a thing.
It's technically not allowed. With that being said, there are
Technically.
times where if it's not garnering somebody an advantage, an example is we have had people write us in Puzzle Pirates, for example, and say, I'm colorblind, I can't see these pieces, can I do X, Y, and Z? And we can allow that for them. But, the text file is helpful to some. It also is ineffective in other ways. So far, we haven't taken advantage or taken any action on it. But yeah, it's still technically
they have
against the
now.
rules. It's just one of those things that I think one of the main things is people's Java
Right.
is making that change, and so we know that Java has updated. Like we're aware, and so that is not something we have. I mean, it's just one of those things that yes, it's against the rules, and it's going to stay against the rules in case somebody does something,
Right. Like takes advantage, but it's one of those
Exactly.
things where
It's such a
person's
gray
not
area, it looks
out
like.
to like spitefully do anything, then it's
This is why I'm not that afraid showing the camera mod on stream. Because like in the cases where I do use it, I don't use that as an advantage, to be truthful. And yeah, I don't think they really care that
exactly.
much.
I mean, Steam packages Java already, so it's not like
Although
you're
this is a
even
little bit
doing
different to what they're
something
talking
that
about.
isn't already. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like the follow up to that is pretty much just asking about 64-bit Java and if that's allowed, and I think that's kind of answered there too.
Yeah, that's allowed. I mean, like I said, I believe that already comes with Steam. We already
I don't think it
help
does.
people deal with that on Steam. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a how
I
to.
think it's fine.
does it? Does 64-bit come on Steam?
I think 32-bit is on Steam, or at least last I checked.
Yeah.
You have to
Which is,
modify
why
stuff
on
for
the
it to
actual
work on
Straw
Steam.
Knights wiki on the technicals page, it tells you
Yeah,
Hey.
how to do it.
get 64-bit Java.
Yeah.
yeah, we actually help people do that. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's not going to be something you're getting in trouble for.
Right.
I mean, the point of the rule is: are you gaining an advantage that's unfair? Are you playing in a way that is unlike somebody else? And no, not really.
At times.
And the next one on the list is kind of in a similar vein, but a little bit different. Is what is Greyhaven's perspective on people who mod the game, and is it allowed?
It is not allowed. Generally speaking, it is allowing an unfair advantage and not something we really want happening.
All right, you heard it here, folks.
I
Flip it if you want.
never modded the game. Lucas is in
And then-
shambles.
Next over is
He just found out
Grey
now.
Havens okay with players using Spiral Spy?
Spiral Spy
Spiral Spy,
was
shout out
the
the
makers
goat.
of it asked us way back in the day if it was okay. I mean, that's usually the process, right? If somebody makes something that, or they want to make something that is kind of in that gray area, and we have this on Puzzle Pirates a lot, they write us, we review it, and sometimes we grant them the ability to do it. We did that with Spiral Spy. The condition was that we didn't want people posting on the forums, we didn't want them posting spoilers, because we didn't want them ruining something for another player.
Okay.
So Spiral Spy is something.
I mean, nowadays, like, everything that exists is in the game. So, like, people can see it. There's players with every item. I feel like there's not
People are allowed
really
to use.
showing off anything.
But it also doesn't, again, give them some sort of in-game advantage that's unfair.
discounts,
well,
I guess, but
not
they're
too
like
bad.
on complete files.
Okay.
Incomplete files, I think.
'Cause
So-
I know lots of people like to use that to make up a costume or something, so they can recreate it in game.
It's actually so useful using Spiral
Yeah,
Spy
we
for
just ask
costumes.
that they don't
so good.
post on the forums something that's going to spoil something
Spoil
that's not
what?
out yet or something like that.
Yeah,
Sure.
makes sense.
So another big thing that's kind of been going around in the community and a hot topic nowadays, at least in the arcade, is the old RMT, which stands for real monetary transactions. And we're kind of wondering if you can shed some light on basically how does that impact the game? What kind of effects does it have from the business perspective?
Oof.
A hard ball for you.
Big question.
Oh, well, I think this is this
Welcome back,
because
by the way.
it's a trigger point for me. I'll start ranting.
It's a problem, and people who
Pandora's like
pretend
a
that
mod.
it's not are
It is
often
different.
partaking in it, and they're trying to justify their behavior. The fact is, if you think about it, people selling things for real money, it changes not only the in-game economy and the value of items in-game and how easy they are for you to obtain, but it directly affects our bottom line. And thus, if we're able to do other things or operate the game and all that kind of stuff.
So basically, they're
I did
they're
not
playing
RMT
off
at any
the
point in
that
my
is
Spiral Knights career.
profiting them right now.
I have no reason to.
I mean, so like, let's say somebody's
I'm
leaving
clean,
the game
man. I'm clean.
and they've got an overcharge mixmaster, and
Oh, baby.
they decide to sell it.
This is what someone who is
that
lying would say.
item would have, had they not done this, right? They've either bound it to themselves or sold it to somebody else. If they don't do that, it sort of goes away, right? It just kind of dies because they're no longer playing. That's no longer in circulation. If they just sell it back into the game, that will affect everybody else's value of their item. So it's not, people will pretend that it's helping us. It's really not. It hurts us financially, but it also hurts every single player
I think
trying
it's
to
fair.
gain these items, right?
I get why it'd be a problem. Buying
And
energy
now
from
for the
Greyhaven,
more
a
serious answer.
real monetary transaction. That
Working, and they do horrible, horrible things. to
not
the
all
people that
RMT
do
is
it.
bad. I didn't say that.
It's also probably a lot easier to get scammed.
Don't get me,
with, which
Greyhavens.
leads to more issues on your guys' end, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of scams with it, which is really unfortunate. But one of the things that really, now we're going to rant. But one of the things that really makes me mad about it is they do this, and the person selling it, they know that they're not doing something they're not supposed to do. It's against the terms of service. They don't always tell the buyer. And sometimes the buyer is is a newer player or somebody who's just less
Get roped in.
experienced, and they're super eager, and they see what they think is a good deal. They don't really know that it's not okay. And then they kind of get roped into this, and it's just really unfair for them. And what are they supposed to do? I mean, now they've got to, contact PayPal and deal with that. And the people who are wanting to still play and are very active are the people we want to have fun, and that's really not a fun kind of experience.
It also opens them up to harassment. I mean, you get one guy
Oh gosh.
selling, and one of their buyers doesn't do what they want or provide what they want later on. Well, they've got the perfect thing to hold it.
Dude, there's fucking like loan sharks out here. What the hell? They're getting chased down for not paying back their RMT
Right?
trades.
And we've seen that done time and time again.
Holy shit!
It's
a crime ring.
infuriating. And I'm saying this as
Fucking
a
mafia's
parent.
involved.
It's infuriating that to see, people my kids' age that are just getting scammed and heartbroken over something that should be fun for them.
What about the people who do the sale and then they like complain that person because they're on their way out anyway? They don't care, and they end up, really harming that person, and you just want to smack them.
Or the guy
it
that was
happens all the
selling
time.
and then complaining the buyer as scamming them and trying to get the money back to resell it again. These guys are jerks, not just to the company. They're if they're gonna screw over us, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, the thing that's like weird to me, because like real money trades is allowed in some games, is it not? Like there's a bunch of games where it's like it's fine. Also, like Steam trading kind of is that system, no? Where you sell like an item for X amount of money. Although I guess you can't really take the money out, I don't think, from a Steam wallet. You have to use it into like other games or other items. So maybe it's a bit different in that sense. You can. Skin port. Well, isn't that like a bit illegal though? It stays in your Steam wallet. Spiral Knight said Steam trading too. Why they removed it? Yeah, I don't know. So I get the points that they're raising here, but at the same time, it's like, well, other games do that. So there must be some systems where it works or it's fine. I don't know. I think one of the things is Greyhaven, like it's not Greyhaven, sorry. Spiral Knights is like targeted towards, or it has been at least previously targeted towards like younger players. And I think that is a bit more of a problem. Like if there's like a 13, 14-year-old kid who doesn't really know too much about how, you need to be careful with these types of tradings. It can definitely lead to some problems. And I think you kind of want to protect around the player base that you have. Whereas games like maybe CS, you might expect there's a bit of an older player base. But then again, I don't really know. They removed it because people would buy chargeback energy or keys and trade for the other before action was taken. Well, that's just a bad system, isn't it?
Challenge.
Steam gets a cut from sales.
But it just astonishes me the number of times they scam each other and the number of times they complain each other for the thing that they're doing. Oh, God.
We've had bad advertising as the kids even
And
see the game. I don't think anymore, no. But I think back in the day, yeah.
Time. Okay, so here's a funny story.
Like, we were all kids when we started playing, no? Like, I was 12, 13. I wasn't 12. I was never underage.
RMT seller
always 13.
sells a big chunk of change. Buyer gets caught, charges back all of his purchases to that seller, and that seller tries to report them for scamming.
Oh,
and it's just like, yeah, you guys deserve each other. Go for it.
Well, that happens all the time.
Yeah, back in the day.
So what I'm hearing is RMT just turns into that Spider-Man pointing meme quite frequently.
I want to shake.
Shout out Fangel with the jokes.
They're lucky I don't know who their parents are. I just want to shake them.
All right. Oh, we can move away from the stress of RMT real quick. And does Greyhavens take community feedback into account when adjusting for updates or new content?
We do listen to community feedback, especially when it comes to things like bugs, people who actually report them, people who post on the forums in a civil way, that kind of thing.
I will say we have really enjoyable conversations with players, even angry players that send in, kind of tersely written emails and tickets. And if they're willing to listen and communicate and explain to us, okay, first off, we are just support. We don't have all the answers and we don't know how the code is necessarily built out, but we do have lots and lots of years of experience looking at these things, and there may be reasons for it, but we're happy to listen as long as people are not even kind, just not vile.
Dude, the game's back. He's
you
brought it
can
back.
always tell when somebody's mad.
Fuck.
It's like, I get it. When I get mad, God knows you don't want to be
Mute
on
it, Lego,
the receiving end
please.
of a support call from me.
There you
But
I can confirm that.
so part of the perks of being in support is you learn what buttons to push with support people, which is horrible. But we do respond better to kindness
This is true.
and understanding than we do to outrage.
Working in customer service, you learn. I used to work in call centers, and you learn the back ways, I guess, of how to get stuff.
So if you're going to tell me X doesn't work,
Or I guess you know what to
could
say
you please tell me
to
why?
trigger certain things.
How you
And don't assume that we'll understand. Just treat us like we need explaining.
I think that's fair. I,
mean,
think
like,
everyone deserves just
mention what is actually going. If you just say, my wand is
a
broken,
fair explanation.
I don't know what that means. Like, what do you want? Is it not
Happens to me all the
charging?
time.
I do think a lot of the time, like the community, I mean, it's kind of granted in a way because, like, a lot of times, sometimes things happen that are unjustified, but it doesn't help anybody to be up in arms, be super angry about it, and like write off an angry email to Grey Havens. It's just more likely to cause more of an issue. Like, it just in life, everything is a lot easier, a lot simpler if you just approach it with a calm, level head and make sure that you're making yourself heard, but not in a way that is antagonistic, and doesn't just ruffle feathers for no reason, I guess.
Is it? Yeah.
All right, so something people have
Maybe.
been talking about a lot coming up is obviously the big 10th anniversary of Spiral Knights, and the community is wondering.
I missed
if
out
there's
on this.
anything you can share about,
But I heard
the
some things.
upcomingness of that.
I heard it
may
did
be,
not go that
exciting
great.
for the community.
Oh wait, we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary.
This next April, yeah.
Try not to think about that.
No, I know. I knew it was
Didn't
COVID.
know.
I just was. No, we don't give away secret plans. It's because most
AKA
of all,
no
not only
plans.
because I'm sure they're not all nailed out, but they change, and people get really upset if things change, and they really wanted it to happen. So we never give out early spoilers.
Makes sense.
I don't know if much happened. I think they did do like a little bit more. Like the every year they have like the normal anniversary event. I think they might have done a little bit more, but they did. They did some other stuff. They DMCA'd Night Launcher, I guess. I actually don't know much because I wasn't playing around that time, and I haven't looked back into the history of it. All I know is that there was like pretty prominent community member who has done a lot of good that got banned from it apparently. I'm guessing they DMCA'd Night Launcher and some other things as well, so it was a bit of a the community was not happy, let's say that, at the very least.
But I'd also say, we have a anniversary celebration that happens every year, and I don't think you should expect a large change in that
So
because
lame, man.
we could devote a ton of time to that, but that's maybe 1 week and then it's one and done.
Well, maybe devote, a couple hours. You don't need that much time. I'm sure you could think of some things that would make things exciting.
So
Right.
Maybe just
I
some more
wouldn't
items or
expect
something.
some,
Like,
you know,
spend time in
don't be
Haven giving
disappointed
stuff
when
out.
there's
I don't
no
know.
huge giant thing. Like,
We
an
might
impossible
run
cube
something.
is not going to run across Haven.
But if people promise snowballs and fireworks, one of us will usually show up, and then it's a party.
Oh, Haven 2.
Oh.
Like,
But we may also
yeah.
run a
Crash
forum
the server.
event.
Just give crown to all the peeps.
But no absolute
Yeah.
promises. But I've got things.
But they
in the
don't
back
want to
of my
mess with the
brain
economy.
Thinking about a forum event for it as well.
All right. I guess next over here is there any chance colorblind mode would be incorporated into the game?
Unfortunately, no.
easy enough.
I mean, it's not that we wouldn't want to, but
Straightforward answer.
that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of work. It's would have been.
I don't know how that would
amazing, but I
work
think
with like
you would
costumes, for
kind of need to
example.
do that probably from the start. You'd have to be thinking about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that really works in
So
Spiral
another
Knights.
question that's come up before and kind of been kicked around, and this may or may not be in your wheelhouse, but it's something that we're curious about, is the limit for the number of energy or crowns. Java has this known thing. For example, if you go to the auction house and you type, I think it's
I got you, Kev.
Kept the number written
Thank
down
you.
here.
2,147,483,647 in. You can type that, but the second you try to go up to 48 at the end, it actually doesn't work. So is that the most energy or crowns someone could physically have on
The
a single
number
account?
integer. This is a goose question. This is the type of question that Water Goose would ask. I don't think anyone
Make a
else
few
cares.
purchases and find out.
Yeah,
I mean,
Although that is a banger response.
Crowns someone could physically have on a single account.
make a few purchases and find out.
yeah,
I mean,
I think that sounds like a thing that you could test, Lego.
Got
We'd
it.
be interested
I
in
will
knowing.
talk to Lego about that, and
Good response.
How about this?
look at us
If you
upselling, man.
test and you break it because you end up with 3 trillion crown or 3 trillion energy, we'll help. We'll remove a few from your account if you want. Maybe move it to a different one. I promise.
rebalance it so you can log in again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Up onto your
We're
offshore
giving,
account.
folks.
Another point, kind of about the economics of the game, that people are kind of curious, and the kind of study economics and those kind of things is, do you guys have a way to track, roughly how much energy and crowns in total is kind of circulating in the entire player base market?
How
No.
much do you have in your pocket right now, Hera?
We can add it up.
It's actually a valid question. I'm pretty sure that people have done this before. Like they've crashed the energy market because it's all like player controlled to an extent. I don't know if they have things in place to stop it from happening.
I
I
suppose.
imagine that they would, but
Your pockets, everybody.
I swear it's happened before where
gotta
I mean,
call-
we can see that on the back end.
specific
if we
players
want.
have tried to
There's
like
just
crash it essentially,
never
crash the
been
market.
a reason.
Enough to buy a Mixmaster, I guess.
We'll just say there's a yeah.
Bad joke, man.
We'll just say there's a lot. It would surprise people how much there likely is.
All
And,
of the
I got a
combined energy in the
question
game to buy
the other
one
day,
Mixmaster.
Escalated to me, and it was something like,
Real.
"We're worried that the energy that we're going to run out of energy in the market." You're okay. You'll be fine. We're not even close.
start getting there. Throw up some red flags around. All right. Oh boy.
Go ahead, Fangel.
Here.
Let it rip. Let's go, baby. Chat's ready.
Yeah, the chat.
Oh, I think I know this is what this is.
What 180 people, and chat is ready for this question. Is Grey Havens currently aware of any bugs with neutralizer damage?
Classic.
Are you're really ready for the answer?
Well, chat's screaming it. We're ready.
I'm grabbing a coffee.
One here. Now's your
for
chance to
wine.
say. We're aware that you believe it's broken. However, it is working as designed. We've checked a lot.
Oh boy.
I like their response here is so weird to me because they're saying that it's working as intended, and I'll keep it
Here we
going.
go.
They go into it a little bit more.
It is. It's admittedly bizarre, but that same pattern repeats on a lot of items that we have, and fixing or changing it on one means we have to change all of them. And I think that this one's noticed more for some reason. Maybe it's because
Literally working as
to be
intended,
a little bit
yeah.
better, but it is actually how it's supposed to be working. The stronger the base sometimes has a weaker bullet.
That doesn't make any sense. I'm pretty sure it's things like the Atron swings as well, like where the Atron does the same damage as a Grand Faust. That kind of like damage number where it's like this is a weird calculation. And with their response, it's like, that's the code in the game. And so they're like, yeah, it's working as intended because that's how it's been coded. But people are raising it as like, well, it don't make sense, man. I don't know.
Okay.
It sounds like they have no clue what they're talking about.
I'm in favor of burning
So in
it.
other words,
right now.
No, I think they do.
we're
It's
not
just
planning on making any changes.
they're not going to change it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of all caps in chat.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even looking. I could tell them the numbers and say that's the numbers we intended. And I mean, that was a design decision made, I don't know, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. But like I said, there's a lot of items that are like that.
Strange decision. That's all I'd say.
There's a lot of stuff in the back end that you're just like, that looks weird, but it was what they intended. So
All right. Well,
I think the neutralizer one's a bit different because the neutralizer one, I think the reason why people get confused with it or have an issue with it is because the virulent catalyzer, I forgot the full name of it, for the 5-star one, it's the poison version. The poison version, normally the poison, like the elemental variants where they have like a status or something, you would expect that to be lower than than a weapon that has no status, because that's generally how the game is balanced. The weapons that don't have a status will do higher damage, but I think it's vice versa for those two guns in particular. So maybe they don't actually know what they're talking about. I don't know. I haven't tested it myself, but yeah, it's a bit of a
I'll pitch the next
a
one,
weird-
Angel, since you did that one.
weird case. But
Oh,
they're
boy.
not going to change it
Community is
regardless.
interested
okay, you made it.
and now that Hera's back, she can help us with this one. Watch the shelf, Hera. About disc guns have been kicked around the community quite
Disc
a bit.
guns, shut out.
And the community
Spoiler,
is
by the way.
chomping at literally the bit, even though
Referencing
they
earlier
sometimes to
in the
know
interview.
what are these things.
Talking about spoilers.
Are they in game?
No comment.
Because if they're not in game, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Have a nice day. But all right. Well, after we said both of
I don't
those,
look at chat.
this next question kind of
Oh boy,
going.
moving away from chat.
This is a good follow-up.
Yeah, this is a good follow up. What community memes does Grey Havens know about?
I don't know. I mean, I think that once they get big enough, things get to us. They work their way around to us.
Is there any
pretty
big
quickly.
Spiral
So,
Knights memes right now?
probably a lot of them, I'd say.
I don't even know.
Is there a validation?
But then every once in a while, one pops up and you'll say something and people will be like, "That's a meme," and you say, "I have no idea what you're talking about." What?
All right.
But we were aware of the neutralizer damage. We were aware of that kind of stuff that gets sort of joked about once it's been reported enough. And
I did the Prestige before we did this strafe.
The age-old one of back in the Three Rings era is
Buddy.
you're an ID NJ Thug, and that was joked about on the GM forum too. Remember seeing that? I mean,
Some of these
forum that
questions.
technically doesn't exist ever.
so that mythical forum that you hear about is often where memes that we would hear about would end up. And we still do that to this day on both games. So, oftentimes we'll hear something like that and we'll run with it because it's just funny. I mean, it's often funny for us.
All right, you hear that? They have a sense of humor, guys. Okay.
The palpable silence after Angel said
Next
that.
up, will the test servers ever become available again for testing things before release?
I think they're about as funny as anyone else, really, to be fair.
I mean,
Most people aren't
it
that
could
funny.
happen, but I don't see it. It's not happening anytime soon, I don't think.
Okay.
I would love a current interview, Sam. I agree.
I mean, technically a button could be pushed.
Oh yeah. So, guess
Don't
I guess
Tell
still have
them
a
if
testing
the
server.
button can be pushed. My God, it'll be all over.
No, where it is. I didn't.
I was gonna say, can I have the test server, please?
I want to talk to
That would be
Cronus. I
fine.
Operation Science.
think that'd be a
Can I
good
read
interview.
chaos?
Ah. Last time we tried one of those, I think I got auto banned trying to get into the Great Havens Guild Hall. Had to get let
I
back.
want to do science Lego.
I know. One day. One day.
Make the only Haven available Haven 2.
No, that is not. That is called Operation Nightmare, and that doesn't need to be done.
All right.
Don't know what they're talking about.
And
I support Operation Nightmare.
Oh, come on. All right, so the
Well, for
next question here are kind of one or two things. One is that Spiral Knights used to be linked with Steam, as everyone knows, and one of the nice things with that is when it came to trading, say, large quantities of materials and stuff, it was a big time saver. Is there ever the chance that Steam would get synced back up so that you could do the Steam trading? Or I guess what was the reasoning
Would be handy.
behind kind of breaking it apart there?
No, it will never be done.
My finger
Okay.
will always cry.
I mean, it's not really.
That was informative.
So, Spiral Knights was one of the first involved with Valve in doing that. And a lot of it was an experiment. We hadn't done it before. Valve hadn't really even done it before. And I mean, originally you could almost only do other Valve games and Spiral Knights. And so
Team Fortress 2,
what
shout out.
ended up happening, though, is it ended up being very confusing about the difference between that and the difference between RMT, because it's really unclear. And people would then, I mean, setting aside the massive amounts of scams that were a result of this, that alone makes it impossible to sort of deal with, because a buyer of RMT.
Do you guys feel like that would have contributed to part of like the game success, like the Steam trading scams and that type of thing? Because I wonder how many people got like actually affected by that, and then were like, I'm not going to play this game anymore.
He will easily say, and legitimately say, well, I could have just traded it for
I never knew this
Call
existed,
of
by the way.
Duty on Steam. Why is that any
Never
different?
used it.
And they have a really good point. But the other issue was we spent a lot of time dealing with people who would buy a bunch of stuff on Steam, bunch of games, bunch of TF2 keys, that kind of thing, usually on stolen credit cards, I'm guessing. And then they would trade all of this stuff to somebody else for some great deal. So some poor player in Spiral Knights would trade for TF2 keys or vice versa. And what happens is when that gets charged back, Steam rips all that stuff out of your account, and that player is really unhappy. And then they came running to us as if we were going to return these items. And sometimes we couldn't, sometimes we could help them a little bit. And it just ended up being a really good way for people to get scammed on a really large scale.
That's really what Sam's saying. Think of CS, for example. Game is bigger than ever because the items have value. Value in quotation marks. Yeah. Like, I could see it being good, but I do feel like it does lead to a bit more of a toxic community, because as soon as you involve, like, real money to an extent, it becomes... People get a lot more invested. And it becomes a bit more toxic, I would say, as a general thing.
The reason I say
and part of that is the
stolen credit
scams and
cards
stuff.
is because that's one of the things that does happen in Spiral Knights. So if you see...
You would need a lot of
I'm
moderation.
sure anybody who's online recently probably saw somebody trying to use a website that's like a clearly some
freeenergy.com.au.
right.
Enable.
The poor Cronus was running around chasing, getting rid of everything. Yeah.
Right.
Cronus, shout out.
So that website and websites like that essentially are laundering stolen credit cards. So they make purchases in our game. They give people the energy for pennies on the dollar. They charge it back, which we then incur that loss. And then whoever owned that poor credit card, they're incurring some sort of damages, and the buyer is in trouble, right? I don't know. And we always tell them, you know, if this happens, if law enforcement asks us for records, we're going to give it to them. So stop doing it. But it does look like he wandered off. He got bored.
Phew.
Dude, Fane just so
Which I
funny. He's always just like coming in with like these one-off, either like a one-liner or like Just one word. He's like the
guy.
background
Thank
rapper. He's like,
Really?
oh god, like
It's helpful because he would change his message just enough. And so, to get around a filter and all this other stuff. And so,
I'm
when you
enjoying
file a
the
complaint,
input.
it is actually helpful.
Good to know. If you see the guy around Haven, you guys fire off a complaint at him, and they'll give him Das Boot.
Throw some snowballs out of the bully him too,
The yellow ones,
Yeah, exactly.
not the white ones.
We'll sell them for 1 crown each.
So one thing that people kind of always have in the back of their head is game masters and their interface with the auction house. And there's the question around the community that do game masters ever post non-featured items on the auction house? And then also kind of go along with that.
I feel like they
do
should.
they ever bid on items that are listed on the auction house?
Before they say anything, I really think that they should. I think they should list lower tier items, especially these days, because if you're a new player playing the game, you usually go to the auction house to like find the items that you want. Like I know a lot of people do that for like materials, recipes for like a specific set of gear, that type of thing. But there's not much of a market for it, so a lot of people don't. Like I'm not going to go sit around and sell that type of stuff because I know that not a lot of people are going to buy it. So I don't want to incur the cost of listing items on the auction house because there's a listing fee, and then not get rewarded and it just never getting sold. But a game master, they could artificially, put that on the auction house and just have it permanently up in a sense, just to help out the newer players. I feel like there's a limit there to something they could provide probably.
I've got a pocket full of bolted V's I can put up if you like.
Oh no, not the bolted
Short
Vs.
answer is the average agent or support agent or whatever doesn't even look at the auction house unless there's a
They don't even
reason.
play
So
the
no,
game.
we don't touch anything there. We're not bidding. We're busy dealing with normal tickets.
Puzzle Pirates.
If selling, they will only ever use the featured auction because it's like the whole point of the featured auction house is so that our company can say, hey, there's this thing. But if you're playing on your player account, and when you're playing on your player account, you have no powers, no special money, no nothing. You're allowed to buy and sell on that account if you'd like.
As a
as
game
a
master,
player, right?
Yes, gotcha.
But that account has no powers. They're not allowed to obtain anything from their account, and we do check. But yeah, so they're allowed to play as a player if they want.
Yeah, but as a player, we don't have any shiny or anything like that.
Okay.
No, I'm broke. I'm like dead broke.
Yeah, I'm not very good at making money or energy or anything happen.
I mean, we have
'Cause you don't play the
people
game.
who work for us who pay for energy or doubloons regularly.
Hello.
Don't tell people that. I spend way too much
Sounds
on
like
it.
my
They
kind
talk
of
about
It's
later in this
like
interview. They talk
a-
about the difference in
We
like
play the game too, and when
trading
we play the
in the
game, we have
market
to do it.
in Puzzle Pirates and Spiral Knights. I
like
think
you
it's
do.
actually pretty interesting because Puzzle Pirates has like items that expire
All right.
in your inventory.
Next up, we have a little question.
Like, that's the
would Grey Havens ever consider
main stuff.
holding community competitions for either creating content or ideas to be incorporated into a game?
I mean, we kind of have done that before, not necessarily on Spiral Knights, but like Puzzle Pirates regularly puts player-created content in the game, so we don't really have a moral objection or anything.
Okay.
I don't think I've
That's
ever
something-
seen any player-created content in Spiral Knights though, because that would require them to update the game.
That would ever be considered for Spiral Knights specifically, or is that kind of like a far-off thing at this point?
It would be more difficult to implement, so I mean, I would say it's a far-off thing, but I don't know. I mean, it, in theory, could happen one day, but
Yeah, they
I
don't do
mean,
that for
it
Spiral
would have
Knights.
to be something small, like
They need a
especially in the
developer.
beginning, right? Until
Yeah.
things are figured out, like here's a new hat, or a new helm or something like that.
like a peacock hat.
Right,
No,
like just like-
never peacock anything.
Yes.
I mean, if you want it turned down quickly, but if we were ever to do that, we would post in the forums and ask for help.
They did do one thing. I think they maybe mentioned something in here where they did a contest for the forums where you can create your own like profile picture for the forums. So they had like an art contest for that, and so there are some
Oh yeah, me too. And I think it would be a way to add
created ones.
some sort of neat content
Which is
because we don't have all the ideas in the world, right? So I think it would be creative, it'd be fun. Like Puzzle Pirates does do that, so yeah. It's just implementing something in Puzzle Pirates versus Spiral Knights is a lot different. It's the art in Spiral Knights is a lot more taxing, right? It takes a lot of skill to be able to get something rendered properly.
I mean, Polly's around. We could talk to Polly.
No, because she just implement chubbyizing.
New height size
Shout out,
modifier,
Polly.
chubby.
TV face.
I want that chunky. Give me chunk.
Dorney, you may come into the game. Oh, yes.
I would kind of like a new variant on the snipes. The snipes are my favorite thing in the game, all hands down.
They would look awesome.
But I want.
I just knew she was
I
going to
want
suggest.
bunnies.
Just knew it. Knew it was coming.
I can dream.
Chickens. I could have chickens.
Yeah, there's a lot of mods for player model stuff.
All right. Well, here's a little follow-up. Is there a possibility of more
This
direct
subcat.
involvement with the community, such as like commissioning community artists going forwards?
So, if we were to do something like
I don't know if I've
we were
done
just
this.
talking about, it is possible because of the level that it takes that we would pay them. Like, we don't believe necessarily in volunteers. Again, in Puzzle Pirates, the skill level required to create content is a lot lower. So it might start as a contest and that kind of thing, but it works. Who's to say it couldn't evolve into something more? But I don't think that that's on our roadmap.
Okay.
I don't know. They never. Yeah, I feel like they probably could have done something. Like there are so many mods. There are so many like player created models and that type of thing. Where like surely you could port it into the game somehow. Like create a new file and just patch it in. But I don't actually know how difficult that is. Rinse update video on the games ago covers this sort of stuff. I got to watch that then. I haven't seen that.
And so, to kind of bridge the gap between the two games here, which is kind of convenient for this next question. What are the GM's thoughts on Puzzle Pirates and the Spiral Knights communities, kind of as a comparison?
Okay. Puzzle Pirates is
it's
dead now,
apples
isn't
and
it?
oranges,
Or is it still
so
around?
I
They're
bet
both
it can.
Okay.
They're the audience is different, right? Like,
Right, they've got completely different demographics.
I will say that both communities they're both very small, right? Neither one has a huge player base, but they're both really kind of amazing. And again, if you compare them to other games you play, it's a stark difference between, if you walked into Puzzle Pirates, you're going to be greeted fairly similar to the way you are in Spiral Knights, but if you walk into, and I'm not going to name the epic name.
Oh, yeah.
Epic Games?
It's not as friendly.
Okay.
But both have, for instance, like fan art that's done and it's high quality and it's just fun to look at, and they're funny, and we get funny petitions from people, and they tell us when they're getting married and that kind of stuff.
Thanks, Sam. I'll
Get
probably
wedding
take a look
advice.
after this
Real life.
interview.
We do.
We got it. I'd be guessing no, but it would be just like send us a card. Or cake. How close is this? So finally, here's one that's a little bit more on the Puzzle Pirates side of thing, but it will lead in, I swear. What makes the Puzzle Pirates economy so complex?
How is it that we're asking more about Puzzle Pirates? And okay, we're not. This is like the
That's a
second
big
question. To be
topic.
fair. Okay,
That
I
is
should
such
shut up.
a big topic.
I'm glad we got about 7 more hours.
Yeah.
I mean, the economy in Puzzle Pirates, it's not just like earning the currency from the Navy or from your crew and pillaging. There's different aspects of it. You can become a shopkeeper. You can sell items through that. People sell commodities around the ocean to various shops and make a profit with that. There's the whole island ownership puzzle, so to speak, of flags. It's just, I mean, if we get questions about shop ownership and how taxes work and everything, and we can look at those questions and go, oh God, because it is so complicated trying to work certain aspects of it out.
Put real life into Puzzle Pirates. What the hell?
It's so complex because the original developers made it like that to make our life a misery. We're trying to figure out tax rates.
For all later questions, please be sure to ask Hera.
It was designed in a way that would feel like the real world, and so it feels as easy as you're like, oh, I'm just going to open up an ironmonger or a tailor shop. No problem.
I'm looking to look
But
this
then
up.
3
I
months
swear it's
later,
not even
you
around
have
anymore, Puzzle
4
Pirates.
spreadsheets. You own a weavery so that you can supply your own tailor shop with cloth to make the boots that Bob is going to buy from you. But oh no, you need commodities from 3 islands over, so you go and sail
it's
and
still
get
around.
that. Like it's
Average player is
becomes
102.
quite a deal. So we have people who play the game to pillage. We have people who play the game for like island
About half the
ownership.
size of Spiral
But
Knights.
we have a lot of people. Often the ones who stay the longest are the merchants. Being a merchant in Spiral Knights is I buy something low and I sell it high. There it is, you buy low and sell high is not even the tip of the iceberg. You're building the things, you're creating the things, you're trying to time the market of every single mineral and every single material. And then add that everything dusts except for ships, unless you sink it, right? So people need a constant, refresh of stuff. So it just kind of keeps it going.
Okay.
They also have market competition.
That's an idea.
It's not like
yeah.
a flat rate that something's valued. There's a lot of supply and demand. Anyway,
The market of Puzzle Pirates does
I would-
sound interesting, where like everything disappears. But at the same time, it's so annoying. Imagine every single 90 days your items just disappear. I'd be so pissed
love
off,
to
man.
see some of that in Spiral Knights, but I think it would really upset people too.
Feel like a scam.
My ideas
Well,
are not the best
we
usually.
we could dust costumes and
No, please.
I mean, that's kind of like how those ones where you're, like some of the community sees them and it's like, hey, this lasts 30 days or until this date kind of thing. I guess that's a little bit similar.
So,
Yeah.
depending on the fanciness of your outfit, it will last anywhere up to 90 days, is it?
yeah, I think it's 90 for some of the fine black fabric items.
Crash out if that happened. in the
Login
game.
days. Like you can put it in a closet,
Yeah, it sounds
but if you
obnoxious
pull it
as
out of the
hell.
closet, that's a day.
I see.
I remember before that was actually
Yeah.
put into the game. Where things didn't used to dust.
What's worse, a
didn't
gacha system or
sink
this?
ships. I can remember when the soundtrack of a ship sinking was released before it actually was implemented.
What about Poe Runs? That was the best game ever.
Well, if you think about it, if dusting was implemented in Spiral Knights, like it was in Puzzle Pirates, somebody's sword would end up dusting. They would need another one. Somebody else could sit there and make money by crafting that sword, using his materials to craft that sword, and then selling that player that sword in some little shop. Like that would be the very
Imagine having a GM sword,
simplest way if
maxed out
Spiral
UVs.
Knights were to have a similar economy.
It just disappears.
That would be a big change.
There'd be no reason to
and
get
the
you the
players would
experience.
kill us. Like they
I-
were wise,
Rip Mixmaster.
and we would.
I'm
I
not
mean,
seeing a lot of
question-
all cats and cats, so I don't think they are that upset about the idea.
I mean, I'm thinking if that was okay. So this is just random thought, but if it ever was implemented, perhaps that would be instead of dusting the existing items or giving them a deadline, break out a
Like an anvil repair.
right. So you would have a repair feature, but also
Gotcha.
make things that are less quality dustable. Have a second tier of items that you could get for short term. I don't think you could change the existing inventories, is what I mean.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I think I
could
could
be
see it. Like if
challenging.
heat went down, you have to heat it back up. But
Yeah.
I think that's the end of the little long list we have here.
Let's
But-
see. They've got like another 30 minutes to go.
If there's
I
anything
realize I'm
else
not
you
even
guys
in
want
highest
to
quality.
say, feel free. I might
Oh, well.
just scour the chat for a second to see if there's anything in there that's not screaming at me, and be like, "That looks like a one," and see if that's anything.
Okay, I'll ask Lego. How many people do you think, when the Bolted V happened, only bought one
I have so much to say about this.
stack? So only bought 750.
I didn't buy one stack.
Stopped pushing that button. But how many managed to only do it one time?
None. Unless they didn't even log in. There's. Wow, Fangel, did you push it one time, Fate? You pushed it at least twice.
Yeah, I had to make sure that it's not just.
Yeah, so no one
joking me.
pushed
I
it
was
one
like, wait a
time. No
minute.
one pushed it once. I bet you there was one person. There has to be
You were wrong.
one good soul in this community that pressed it one time and was like, I didn't get charged.
There were 49.
49
49
out of
people, damn.
Are you giving like a rough
49
total?
people are amazing. Nope, that's the exact number.
All right, I was not amazing. I see how it is.
The way that Grey Havens talks
Nice.
about this is crazy to me.
Who was the amazing? I'm not going to actual names, but
Get
someone
names!
out there claim they're
They're
one of
on
the
a
49.
golden plaque in a Grey Havens.
Cut open the cake, their names right there. It's like, oh, right,
Yep.
one of the 49.
These guys.
All right.
Oh, is that it?
Oh,
I swear they talk about it more.
I guess one little fun question that we can get that only one of the two people that's involved is here. To
Maybe
say.
I'm
It's
crazy.
Your one sad story is how did the how did the Cronus versus Hera thing start initially? Because that was I think that was happening a lot early on with the Grey Haven.
I'm Team
takeover,
Cronus.
and I kind of jumped on it too.
What? Hera
Although I've actually got help from both of them
Cronus.
before, so.
Like,
Yeah, they're-
Hera's better than Cronus.
Oh yeah,
They've been doing that since
Are you
day-
questioning it, Fangel? Or can you
I'm on a
clarify?
I'm not
backstory.
questioning it. It's a known fact that Hera is much better than Cronus, and
Oh,
Cronus
he's not
isn't
going to like
in
that he
fact-
wasn't here
and
for
he
this.
can't argue the fact. I don't. It's been an ongoing thing for years. For years and years. Like Cronus and I both started at around the same time. We were part
All of the whole like moderation team at Grey Havens is so like old, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's more of like a I think I've said this before, but when you're working the same job for so long, you just naturally become less like you lose that passion. I'm not saying that you have to lose it, but like generally people do lose that passion. They lose the freshness that comes with it, and it definitely feels that way with Spiral and I. It's like you get that vibe from how things are dealt with. It's very much like just the bare minimum is being done. It is how it feels. I just really feel like they'll benefit from fresh blood, like new people in the team.
an intake of 4,
Surely have to be a draw and they
I
both
think.
lose.
and so we sort of worked together
Toxic
a lot
Sam, what
at the
the hell?
time and learnt how to be an ocean master at the same time. And it became apparent very early
I'm
on
looking
in
for
the
my
game
cat.
that I was
She's
far
walking around.
superior to him in every way, shape, and form.
It's down here.
And he's just jealous.
So, what shape is better? If you had to
What?
determine which, you said every way, shape, and form. So, which
Oh,
shape particularly?
Uh, Circle.
All right, I'll accept it.
Did you say
I
pickle?
mean, if we're going based on hair around,
This is before. This was pickle Rick era, wasn't it?
She is very
because of the eggs, not nothing else.
I'm not even talking about like designing the game. I'm talking about moderation of the game,
Let's see.
I'm team Cronus,
where they need
probably.
fresh people.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's Team Cronus. They're all
And they've
horrible.
been
New
doing
energy.
this since day one. Like they started, I think, messing with each other's ships in game, and
We did. Yeah, there was a whole thing. Every time I would, because when I first started on Puzzle Pirates, I only worked like 8 hours a week. I think I was like, I did the weekends, like filled in the gap late at night at the weekends, and I would log on and I would go to my ship and I would find it trashed. Like it had been repainted black and orange and just, all Cronus's colours and stuff. So it used to be a thing that we would redecorate each other's ships. And it went downhill from there.
All right.
More Puzzle Pirates talk.
So I don't know. There's one question in chat that popped up, kind of went through.
was this before or after they were yelling at us?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to them half the time. But anyways, it had to do, and I don't know if you guys comment too much on it, but one of the things that kind of came into the play
I would
with
never
the
say that about you
Slime
guys.
Casino that kind of rolled out were these lucky
Lies.
potions that you kind of get on the wheel, and it's not really explained anymore and or anywhere particularly, and players have
Yeah, the
kind
luck
of
potions
taken their own thought on
in the
what it
gamble.
means. Are you guys able to comment at all?
I think it has been figured out
When-
now.
the level of effects
There is a
those
system to it.
have, or
Get.
is it like a hey, if you go roll a UV kind of thing, or is it just box, or like I guess what level of impact could it have on the player who gets I guess are you able to indulge the community at all with those lucky potions?
She does not like this.
No, I can't really add anything beyond the tooltip.
All right.
Got it.
You'll just have to figure it out.
Keep rolling, boys.
I swear it's figured out. It's like a
Jacob,
5%
maybe
or something
eventually
like that. I don't
something
know.
will happen.
It's a weird system with the luck potions, but people have dug out the info.
One that I saw.
It's
that
somewhere in the discords.
Wait.
Wait.
kind of went to like full on suggestion here too, but
She did not appreciate
one
my
thing
pets.
that people have kind of noticed recently is that some like older items that may have been in like the beta, such as the Jaws of the Megalodon,
That's been released now, finally.
costume piece, and with this flash sale,
No, sorry,
the,
there's an angel
shroom
one.
cap
My bad.
have started kind of like re-emerging, and then any other items like that we can maybe like anticipate.
I think we've seen
or
all the
is that
items
just kind of
now.
something where someone realized, oh,
Except for
this thing's in
discounts.
here. Let's do something with it.
We plan everything. We're just no snub.
The last like rare
Yeah.
costume that hadn't been released was released,
It's
I
not
think,
like
last
we
year.
randomly go, oh, I found a thing. Unless it is.
Yeah, they really don't give too much
I mean-
in this interview, I feel like.
We will probably never answer a question about any item that's not released.
Okay.
They just say they plan everything.
Let's
Lies.
see. Any other ones in here? That
Do you like the shroom
jump out?
caps?
Oh, I didn't
was
know
that
I
Windows
question?
sound.
saw someone wearing it.
Do we like them? I love them.
Yeah.
I like
I
them
have-
because I can see the eye through it.
It's a love-hate thing. You either love it or
I like them.
not.
It's kind of like the
I'm indifferent
the
to the
expensive
shroom caps.
elephant plunger.
Ah, yes, but that one is a thing of beauty that I've done with mine.
All right. Let's see. Any other? All right. Is there anything that you guys
Dude,
want
I should have watched this during
throw out to
the,
the community?
Cyber Monday last year.
Just the goal?
I
Would've
do
been
have a
perfect timing.
question for the community, or at least for you two. Is there anything, it's a holiday season coming up, and we usually do some events and things like that. Is there any, not necessarily like a sale or anything like that, but are there any events from the past that you guys remember particularly fondly, would like to see again, or any
What
suggestions
events,
on things we
man?
can do to kind of
What
celebrate any of the holidays next year?
And specifically,
I'm
we're
looking
talking
for
about
new
like
ideas.
from the support side, right? Like we're not going to code you.
Right. No, I'm thinking more community events than in-game built things.
Yeah, I mean, one big thing, at least
Costumes
in
at
the community,
endgame,
and,
Sam.
you can sure see them screaming it. Sprightly pets and stuff is always a big thing. I think a lot of people really reacted positively when they saw a couple of those things pop up in the flash sales. They kind of freak out, and sometimes people, I guess it's a love-hate thing with the auction house because the community gets very excited about something going in there, but then at the same time you kind of have a little bit of hate side because they kind of know, so and so is looking for it, so your typical gamer that may not have as much necessarily.
This problem existed back then.
They kind of know they have maybe no chance at getting it. So
Wow.
Something with
Imagine it being, this is the feedback that they got.
the sprites could always be a good thing. And then it's been a while since the gem boxes came around. I personally love the diamond ones.
Oh no.
Oh,
Lego
for
to
that.
be able to cause the 2 years of gem
Yeah,
boxes.
it's
Fuck.
so fantastic.
I know another one that people
I knew
were
it all along.
really kind of anticipating back in the day when Hunter was re-released. People were really looking forward to seeing if Surge came back. And so that's a color scheme that I don't think it's been
At this point, they
re-released
weren't
yet.
re-releasing stuff. I'm pretty sure.
So
Like
Um,
actual prize boxes.
I will pass that forward. Both things forward, actually. But
They've
I
only
think
done
what
that
Nemesis meant
within the
was
past,
like,
like,
you know
2
how we
years.
do like the pumpkin carving contest. So
Yeah.
one thing that support can do is run events like that, for holidays and whatnot. They kind of, that doesn't require any help. So if there are ideas for
The events that they run is like events that, I mean, I guess it kind of is like what a community manager does, but these are the events that they do is the same type of events that just any player does these days. Not any player, but like players in the community do these days. Like there's more community-based events that are of the same quality, if not, than the Grey Havens Rain events.
that kind of
like
thing.
they needed
Something
to
you guys think would
do
be fun,
more.
make an ornament, that kind of thing. Just shout.
Right. I'm looking for something that's also drawing heavy because, we have the usual suspects in drawing every time we run one of those contests. I'm looking for
I
something
don't know what that would
fun,
look like, but
because I'm happy to donate time to do things like that. And
we'd
it
love to
takes
see
an
some of the
excessive
prices go
amount
down
of
in the
time,
rerun
but
stuff.
I want things that
It
people
has,
are
like the
actually
snipe
going to
stuff
join and
recently.
have interest in.
I see.
yeah,
All of that went
I have
down.
a couple thoughts. I think that
Aero boxes too.
a video kind of competition. I remember when the
Video
hardcore mode for
competition?
Lockdown
Wow.
came out. There was a competition. based
I
around
could sign
that
up for this.
that some people really liked trying to make some video editing for, and now that we have a handful of people who are enjoy doing a little clips or fun moments in Spiral Knights in terms of like a little YouTube video. I think having that kind of area might be good. And other forms of like other types of art that's more like, instead of being like, oh, you can do one of like 3 things, like you like do like a physical drawing,
Trick or treat, hide and seek one is so fun.
then, like,
Yeah,
you
that's fun.
sculpt something,
3D
having other something where allowing a different kind of area like that. Like I think either like a kind of writing, be it like a short story or like a little poem, or even like a short song someone could write. Those could all kind of fit into a different thing that would have different people entering, and also you wouldn't have there being big name people who are going to be immediately jumping into it because it's not really an explored territory.
Yeah, I'm just looking to spread the wealth a little bit, I guess. I did see an interesting one,
Spread
and
the
I
wealth?
will call Hestia out because I need an answer
And then you remove
on
Cyber
whether
Monday?
it's even possible. Someone just suggested an avatar contest for our forums because they are kind of limited. Do we have the ability to add
Yeah,
more
this is
of
what I
that?
was talking about. They did that.
Let
They
me
actually
check.
did this idea.
If we do, I'd be happy to host something like that too. We can start that on my personal event roadmap for next year.
All right. What other thing? Oh, go
Can I
ahead.
just say, before it scrolls beyond belief, I saw a question about proto gear.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's all coming together. This is where the proto gear came about.
And people who want to obtain a different color of it. So the issue with it is that
Tell us, because
it
you're doing it
is
now.
locked to a knight. It can never be unbound, and so that because it acts differently, we've never done it because we were afraid. We didn't really want somebody to accidentally buy it, want to eventually trade it, and then find out you're stuck with it. And even though it's equipment, right? It's basically a costume.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's possible we could do that, but
Actually, I don't know if Delta's still here, but he did buy one. So if you equip it, it goes bound? Or is it a costume?
like,
I actually
do you
don't
still
know.
want that to be done,
Yeah, I'm
even if
curious.
it cannot be traded?
I mean,
I mean, so putting it up in the flash sale would have been problematic because I guarantee you people would have said, "I'm going to buy 10,
Dude, I feel like they're so
10 of each," and
worried.
then
Little
figure
blue
out,
things in the bottom.
yeah.
There's a lot
and
about the
then
game that's not
we
clear,
would've
like
gotten a mail
accessories
of,
being only,
guys.
you know, they need specific accessory slots, that type of thing. I feel like a lot of people don't.
I think
I've done it
people would
myself.
Enjoy that.
You
Because
don't
a lot of
realize that you
people,
can't put a
myself
certain thing
included,
on
started
another
the
item.
game so long ago, and since then have discovered
You don't have
a
to worry
sense
about
for
it too
fashion.
much. It happens.
So, having a more variety of proto gear colors would allow us to spread out more costumes, and even allow us to make duplicate costumes of a certain thing. Even if it's technically still an armor, or if it's just something where it turns into like a regal draped armor instead of being spiral draped armor, for example. I think people would love that either way, because making costumes is definitely part of the end game.
Only way to find out how is by doing preview. Yeah, I should do
Oh,
that.
for sure.
But you can
Oh,
preview.
I
You can
can-
set things as costume
I
even
think
if
we'd
it's
have
armor.
to figure out though a way to make it
So I don't know.
clear so that somebody didn't make that mistake.
I really like the idea of having a bigger variety of costumes running around in game. I get frustrated when I see everybody fawning over a particular look and it's
Real.
you see a dozen clones run by all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of any addition there.
Ooh, somebody wants a food or ornament contest. Aha, Cray.
That could
Ooh,
be
a bacon
fun.
one would be good.
Down with that.
Got taste tested. Let us know.
Riveting.
One thing that I also wanted to throw out there, and it's something that I've learned from hosting some.
I think I'm
events
learning
myself,
why there's not that many
and
people have watched this.
I think is another reason why some people might not always enter into certain competitions is the kind of the prize distribution is usually this is something that is kind of hard to find an in between with, especially when you have an indefinite amount of items that you could technically give away. Compared to like a player that can just kind of take whatever they have and try to give it away. But I've noticed that usually there's like maybe one large scale prize that usually has an option to choose from, and then like participation prizes after that are usually either just kind of lackluster or like something like fireworks, which fireworks are pretty cool, but you know, they only can be used so many times, whereas a costume piece can be used indefinitely. And I do remember from the like lockdown video contests from forever ago, the participation prizes were, I'm pretty sure it's also because it was delayed a bit, but they were pretty sweet. It was like a silver key, some fireworks,
Silver key?
maybe like one or two other things.
Actually,
and it
participation
made
prize, that is
participating
pretty
in
decent.
That contest feel good, even if you didn't get anywhere
Very
close
decent,
to the
actually.
top position. Would
It's like 50K.
kind of a more variety to prizes or larger participation kind of prize be of like more of an option, or is it more of a participating as its own reward kind of deal?
They just don't respond.
Like we
They got stun locked
So-
on the question.
participation is problematic
It
for
was so
one
long.
reason, and that is that there will be people who get on 37 alts.
Hell
and
yeah, 37 alts, let's
right?
go.
So it then requires us to sort of verify that. So we tend not to do participation per se, but that doesn't. But I think that expanding the prize pool, if people actually wanted a firework, or I mean a silver key or something small, right?
Yeah.
That is something we could do. Like we could basically say anybody who meets some threshold of effort.
Yeah.
But usually, that then takes the GM to go through every single person and deliver them. So that's why we historically just haven't done.
Everything in Spiral Knights sounds like it's so manual. Like the recovery process where they literally have to like give you back items one by one, essentially. And then this where even the GMs, when they're mailing out items, it's not like a bulk mail out that they can do. They have to one by one
Done
send it.
But
It seems like
is that
a
something folks
pain,
want? Is more participation prizes?
to put it shortly.
I guess one thing that
better
was even brought up
participation
was like I don't know how feasible it is, but like the non-tradable aspect. So like, obviously there's some people that will try to partake in it to, get shiny and,
Lot of old
their
systems.
merchant kicks in kind of thing. But the non-tradable aspect
Yeah.
of it, if that perhaps was an option, then it's like you're doing it to better yourself as a knight in the community for something like you would use yourself. I don't know if that's something that would be feasible.
Yeah, it would depend on the item, right? Because if you made
It's a good idea.
if I gave you a silver key that was not tradable, you could still open the box and hand it to your alt.
Yeah, they could give the
Right, like,
both
still-
of these.
you-
Like
still
costumes
use
and
them,
stuff
yeah.
could be bound to the account.
That's true.
And I think it depends on how many entries there are, right? If 250 people enter, that's 250
yeah.
people that
But I
Carlos
think
O'Hara has to
But
look up and give them a
historically, I don't
firework.
think we've ever. I mean, have we ever seen those kind of numbers?
I feel like the
For an event.
Opening box and getting totem
puzzle
is
bits,
the events that
it's the biggest
Talking
scam.
about Spiral Knights, not Puzzle
Yes,
Pirates.
Starlights, no. Oh, I did see the suggestion for greeting card. Thank you, Craig.
They did that event, I think, greeting
Partici-
cards in Spiral Knights.
participation prizes that I've given out for the events that I've been running. They do take time, and I mean, not everything comes down to hours, but I would balk doing 250 participation prizes, even though it would be wonderful seeing that many people enter. Generally, any competition that I've run has always had less than 20 entrants, and even then, it takes a lot of time to judge and then to distribute the prizes.
I don't
you
understand,
may think
man.
it's just like pushing a button and it's done. It's not. There's a lot of time that we put in, and it's our own time too. A lot of the time.
But isn't that what you're getting paid for? That's what I don't get. Like, isn't that the job? I've done this myself with like guild events and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's time. It's not that much time, and isn't it the job
Because,
to do
we
that?
enjoy running events. They're great to do. And
Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Like, what do
we
they
love
do
it
for
when
their
we get
job then?
a lot of
If not,
entrants, but I
Yes.
don't want to be giving out 250.
Yeah, I think that's something people don't
Participation
realize,
anytime.
though, is a lot of times event running, the GM is doing a lot of that work on their own time. Like they're just doing it because they want to. Hera does it a lot, actually.
Yeah. If we tried to fit that into our regular schedule, you guys would never get a response to any tickets sent in.
okay, so it's not part of their
yeah.
regular schedule. Okay, so they don't get paid for it, which is interesting. But then I would argue it should be part of
yeah, it's like
it should be part of
on
their
the community
schedule.
side, host events can be probably not as problematic, but
Also, this is 2020. Like, this is 2020. How many tickets are they actually getting from support requests? Like, surely it's not. I can't
everything's still
imagine they're getting
manual, so
that much
if it's manual all the way over there too,
assistance
I
required.
get it.
I could be wrong.
But yeah,
I don't know. I'm not doing their job, but
And then
some
we have to be
people-
careful that we're giving prizes to the right people, because
Yeah, I've got
like that's
several.
never happened that I've given the wrong prize to the wrong person.
we have the max 300 people. Yeah.
It's not really a fun thing to say. Actually, you didn't win.
Let me get that
I'm gonna
back.
have to take that back. It's never a fun thing.
Nemesis, to answer your question, it does look like we can add more avatars without needing a release or anything, which would be nice. Like, we don't need a website release.
Hot damn! I've got my project for next year.
I think people will really enjoy doing that. It sounds real fun
Well,
to
I've
do.
been looking for a way to, like engage. I love doing events, and I know that Hera does and Clotho does.
I don't think
too,
I've seen an
and
event for like the
it would be
past few
great
years.
to have more things like
even
that,
in the
especially
forums.
if it's something where, and not only do you get a reward, but you get to see your work in a visible place where other
But
people.
to be fair to them, I'm pretty sure the reason is because the most recent events that they did, there's just been
appreciate
like no
it.
one
And not
participating.
necessarily just drawing, which we have some
Like very limited
fantastic
participants.
artists in our community, right?
So it's not
but
really worth.
the challenge is finding other ways. So like usually we have on Puzzle Pirates singing parodies, dioramas, things like that. Well, how do you relate that to Spiral Nights in a real way that you would actually have participation, given the type of gameplay, the difference in gameplay? So the communities like
I
going back.
really
to
feel like they're so tied up in this world of Puzzle Pirates almost. Like that's their moderation experience where it initially came from, right? And like it is different. It is a different player base. It is different types of people who play the games. Because Spiral Knights has a lot more like actual gameplay, from what I understand. Like I think Puzzle Pirates is more the like Stand in Haven type of game.
that previous question, the
feel like-
communities
yeah.
are very different.
The way that they're talking about it just
and
seems
the way that they participate
very limited in their thinking.
with the game and with each other are very different. And so that's the challenge, and that's the struggle, and that's why there's probably less extra event activity on Spiral Nights currently. And so I'm hoping we can find a way to fix that.
Okay. And the community usually likes to try to fill in where that kind of gap is left. So, like, I know Polly here is running a Secret Santa event through this December. And I know that I'll probably be running my annual event through January. Don't have details I can share on that yet, but it's something I do. But having kind of spread out from there, like I know usually there's like a Valentine's competition. There's a
Yeah, the
pumpkin
community has been
carving
carrying Spiral Knights for a long time. I agree.
and I think since Grey Haven has taken over, Harris tried to run an ornament competition. So I think those are like the 3 annual ones, but that still leaves like what, 9 other months to kind of fill in with something else.
There's a
kind of
lot
fun.
of downtime in Spiral
Well, I'd
Knights.
like to find a random holiday. I mean, like Puzzle Pirates has Talk Like a Pirate Day, but if somebody could come up with some random half-known holiday that we could devote to Spiral Night, feel free to send in a ticket and let me know, because I'm happy to run with that, and we'll just go from there.
Like a old-timey chivalry day.
Something.
But I'd also say, like, if somebody has a history of running events, and this is true on Puzzle Pirates as well, but and they want support, so maybe they want extra prizes, or us to bump the prizes, or us to stick either post or send out tweets or that kind of stuff. They need to email us well in advance, because this is the kind of ticket that is not high priority. So, like, I mean, well in advance. But if that person can link to a couple of events they've run, maybe one or two, so that we know that they're not going to take whatever we give and run off, and that they have a history of being able to organize and effectively run an event, we do support them. Like, we'll help. We can do pot prizes. We can do, like I said, but let us know. So the Secret Santa thing, if it's just a Secret Santa event, probably you don't need our help. But if it's something more than that, you should send in an email.
All right.
I mean, if you've got
They have helped, yeah. People didn't really take this that serious. Like,
for an event.
Not that they didn't take it seriously, but I don't think people really reached out to Grey Havens that much until more recent years. There was some people before Goose was doing it with the guild events. Like, there were people doing it beforehand where they'd reach out.
Running.
But I do think it's
an Ocean Master.
it could be more used by the community.
Come and visit during it. Chances are somebody will, just to say hi. But we need to have.
But for me, like, this is the thing where I don't know, man. Like, as a community, I don't know what their job title is. Are they community manager? What are they? Is it just moderation? But like, for me, I would think, you know, it'd be on them a little bit to go and reach out to people who are hosting events and be like, hey, you know, I see that you're hosting this event. Here's some prizes that will help out. Or like, we can provide this, X, Y, Z. Not so much just the other way around. I feel like there's a bit of a back and forth that could be created as well. It's like, it's so much on the players to open the dialogue with the game masters. And I feel like it should be a bit more the other way.
Have notice. But you know, you can't send us in a ticket during the event and saying, "Hey, I've got 30 buddies in the skill hall. Come and say hi," because we may not have time at that particular time, depending on what else is going on. But we like being social. And Cracker Up.
It can lead to problems of like favoritism and stuff like that, though. So I don't know.
For a anniversary event,
it's all hard.
For the forums for next year, so for the 10th anniversary. So keep an eye on forums for that.
I would note, though, that if you are running an event and you want our help, you cannot have something like an entry fee. So,
yeah,
we could share the base rules. That is there an event forum specifically that we could like post that announcement in?
Yep.
I don't even know.
That there is like a set of guidelines for getting support and how much support we can offer.
I've never seen.
All right, I know Hestia has some time.
Never seen anything that got out.
So, any last
what they're saying
thoughts?
there?
We don't want to keep them hostage here too long. We greatly appreciate.
I feel like I got held hostage. I don't know.
But any last things?
It's interesting to listen to and watch, but at the same time, it's so. Oh, look, it's Delta. Holy shit!
Put him out.
What the hell? He was there.
Question is the reason we won't spoil things because of what happened with the gun? No. The reason we don't want to spoil the game is that's just the way we've always been. It's the same in Puzzle Pirates. Actually, the same rule exists there. So we've had this rule now for 15 years. The reason is because when a release is dropped, it's pretty fun to have people excited about what they see and what they can go do. If they have already looked at all of the shiny things,
Kill too. I don't see
a lot
him.
of the fun is sucked out of it. And it's sort of like if you get presents on Christmas morning, if you unwrapped them a week prior, it's just different, right? It's not as exciting on the day of because, you've already seen the fun things. You don't have to rush out and try to go get it.
Do you think there'd be a potential for teasers, potentially? Because I know that the Turtle Drone thing was teased maybe like a couple weeks to a month before. I feel like that was like around the time that something happened. So we all got teased with Turtle Drones and we all got super excited about it.
I mean, part of that, though, was that like Turtle Drones had already been around. Like if you were playing in the very beginning, he was there, right? And so it was very easy to tease him because some people knew about that. And, we had content that allowed us to tease it pretty easily without the thing being finished. So
So this is all thing. If it already exists, then they'll
Right,
use it
like,
again. If
the
it
treasure
doesn't
vault
exist, then they
not
won't make
been
it.
something that could have been teased because it didn't previously exist in the game.
right, and it would be like, there's a box. Whoa,
Yeah, I could
you know.
see it being pretty confusing if you don't know some of the stuff to it without actually getting in there.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Cool. Are they done?
All right.
That's about everything then.
It's like
All right,
40
it was,
seconds left to it.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks
Thanks
for
for
stopping by, hanging out, as always. And
Good luck for the rest of the night.
rest of the Flash show will get going. You guys can get some rest, well, some of you. And we'll
That was
keep in touch.
depressing.
Talk to you guys later. And appreciate it. All right, let's appreciate him in
Talk
chat,
to
you
next
guys.
year.
I feel like I don't know. It makes me love the devs for games like Warframe. It is a bit depressing, but I do also feel like the energy of the stream, like it's. I mean, to be fair to Lego, he is like, I think that's 16 hours into the stream from what it sounds like, because he said 8 hours left to go, and I'm assuming he was doing the 24-hour stream. It was also just a slow interview. They really took their time with this, like answering the questions, asking the questions. All of that was a bit slow. But I mean, the other thing is, it felt like they just couldn't even say anything. It was like anything interesting that we would want to know or ask, it'd be like, well, we can't say anything about that. There's no news on like development. There's no like nothing for them to leak or tell us about anything that was like upcoming or anything like that. So it's a bit like a very dry interview. It's kind of just interviewing them. Some of the questions were pretty good. I do feel like the first part of the questions were pretty decent. To be fair, the last 30 minutes they ran out of their questions, so that was just kind of asking what the community asked. But I mean, I still appreciate that they did it, and I appreciate that, you know, it's on YouTube and you can still watch it and you get a bit of insight from them. So I think that's cool. So I hope, you know, some of you thought that was interesting. I'm also like, I don't know how to react to stuff, man. When I'm watching things, it's like I don't know what the appropriate level is to say things or not say things. So I always appreciate if you guys have feedback. You know, maybe it's also what we were watching wasn't the most engaging. But yeah, if you have feedback for me, let me know.